What's the oldest restaurant you've ever been to? Okay, now, what's the oldest restaurant menu that you've ever seen? Well, you're in luck. Welcome to the Buttolph collection. At the New York Public Library, it's a treasure trove of over 40,000 restaurant menus with over 20,000 digitized and accessible online. The size of this collection is overwhelming. Spanning from 1850 to 2008, this collection offers a window into the past of dining culture. It's not just about the food, it's also a journey through history, politics, and societal change. Frank Buttolph collected about 25,000 menus before she died in 1924 for the public library. There's a lot of documented pieces calling it trivial and foolish, and they straight up called her a freak, which is rude even for back then. But here we are 100 years later, and we're still talking about this menu collection. And today I'm gonna show you a couple of my favorites. But more importantly, what I think is more interesting than the menus is the stories around the restaurants. And if you stick around, I will be eating at one of the oldest restaurants still open at New York. It's almost 200 years old, and it's a little fancy. So this menu is from Dennett's, which is based out of New York City, and it's from 1896. The design of the menu is simple, it's straight to the point, and I love the cascading alignment of the dessert menu. I also love just like in the 1800s, everybody served oysters, and it wasn't just like a fancy occasion, it was just like a normal thing. They served clams, soups, desserts, like a little breakfast, a little coffee, a little bit of everything. Also, what is mush? And there's also a fried version too. Oh, okay, it's a cornmeal pudding porridge looking situation, but it honestly sounds pretty good. I would try it. So I know you're dying to know, what is at the location of this former restaurant? Well, you guessed it, it's condos. Luxury condos. Bruh. What's more interesting than the restaurant itself is actually the owner of the restaurant, Alfred W. Dennett, and this guy is insane. He's actually crazy. This restaurant was known for having framed Bible quotes and other things just covering the walls. Not only that, but he also required his waitresses to join in a daily prayer service, very normal behavior, and he also wore disguises and went around New York City to conduct surveillance. He was like trying to be the morality police. So maybe you're thinking he's a little bit of a stickler, maybe he's just a weird guy. Well, he also fined his employees for missing their mandated prayer service and a bunch of other stuff, so they almost never took home a full paycheck. Okay, no, this guy sucks. This guy like actually sucks. He had a ton of really public mental breakdowns, and I think they eventually declared him insane when they found him wandering the streets of San Francisco with a pillowcase on his head. I can't think of a modern day equivalent like Bible thumping restaurant, but if I had to pick one, it's probably somewhere in Branson, Missouri. So it was really fun to research all this stuff about this weird restaurant, and I kind of wish the library would have a little section with the menu that would tell you all these fun stories. When I was alone in my room reading this, I was just like, I need to tell somebody. And so now you know, and we all know, and we have to live with this information together. So the second restaurant menu that we're looking at is the luncheon menu for Siegel Cooper in New York City in 1900. Imagine if you got a Chili's menu and it looked this nice, it would make me feel a lot better about eating Chili's. This menu is a bit larger than the Dennett's menu. It's about 7 pages long, and I love the tiny little lobster on the front. Like, look at this guy. There's a section on the menu just for milk, and people were just out here drinking buttermilk. I would not recommend. Also in the bread section, Fleischmann's sounds pretty familiar. Isn't that the yeast company? Don't they make like different kinds of bread and stuff? And it also looks like they funded the launch of the New Yorker magazine. That's a weird crossover. The back of the menu is also very cute. As you can see here, it says dainty luncheons for dainty people. So I assume they just mean that this food is for women. This is a menu for women. So this restaurant was actually inside of a huge department store in Manhattan that took up 2 full city blocks, a little bit bigger than the Macy's right now that's at 34th Street. It was genuinely huge, so it makes total sense that they wanted to put a restaurant inside of it. Check out this extremely ornate fountain that was in the front of this mall, and it was so popular that there was even a catchphrase that started to happen where people would say, "Meet me at the fountain." And if you look at the restaurant menu, it's the exact same fountain on the front of the menu. Located at 6th Avenue and 18th and 19th Street, the building is actually still there. It's no longer a Siegel Cooper Co. or whatever, but it's like a TJ Maxx and like a Marshall's. So what's really cool about this luncheon is it wasn't just a restaurant, it was more than that. It was a place where women suffragists in the early 1900s would meet and share ideas and plan things. This was still during the time where women had to be chaperoned for some reason, And so it was nice that they could go there alone and they could have a form of independence. In a time when women's public spaces were still very limited, this department store's restaurant provided opportunity for women to just gather and strategize. And it was right on Ladies Mile, which was like the shopping district in Manhattan. New York was the battleground for the suffragist movement in the US. And over the next 15 years after this menu was created, we saw some of the largest demonstrations in the entire country that happened just blocks from this department store. The suffragist movement just highlights how dining spaces like this were so important. All these restaurants serve more than just food. They were and still are places for progress. So I have a menu to show you. Don't be scared, it's a little weird, but before I show it to you, let me show you some graphic designers' initial impressions of this menu.
What is this?
Can you read out loud what the menu is?
This looks like something what the fuck? Wait.
It looks like a bunch of Michelin men, like naked.
Did somebody doodle this on to an actual thing? Or is that a part of the actual...
May I have the honor of presenting to you the American Gynecological Society of Boston's 1889 dinner menu. When I tell you that this menu took my breath away, would be an understatement. The babies, the tools, there's so many things going on here. Dude, why aren't we going this hard anymore? Like, why aren't we making crazy menus like this? And I'm not gonna go out of my way to identify all the objects on this menu. I'll leave that up to you to look up. So at the very top right here, you'll see the name James Reed Chadwick, and I can only assume that this was his menu for the dinner. He also seemed very involved in early gynecology and also was a supporter of women in medicine. So thumbs up for him. The menu is really small. It looks like it's only 2 pages, and it has fish, it has birds, it has dessert and cigars. If you look really closely under some of the menu items, you'll see these quotes. There's one like from the Pope, but also look at this section with the birds. The birds on this menu aren't regular birds. They literally list owls as one of the things you can order. So I did a little bit of research, and often what would happen is when you see something listed as an owl on the menu, it actually was an illegally hunted bird. So you're probably not actually gonna be eating owls. In case you were wondering, much like I was, it is actually illegal now to eat owls. So nice try. So this is not the regular menu for this restaurant, and this is just for this specific event. When I was trying to research the location of this place called Taft's Hotel, allegedly they also claim to have hummingbirds on their menu. They of course were not actual hummingbirds, as people would later find out. It's funny, there's even a quote from somebody who said they ordered the hummingbird and they said it was not worth ordering. And it was something that was kind of like word of mouth, where your friend would be like, dude, I ordered the hummingbird, and you're like, well, I wanna go eat a hummingbird. It was difficult to find an exact address for this hotel because it doesn't exist anymore, but it seems like it was somewhere just outside of Boston at somewhere called Point Shirley in Winthrop, Massachusetts. So unfortunately, you'll have to find another place to eat hummingbirds at. So this final restaurant menu is from Delmonicos in New York City in 1883. New York has some of the oldest restaurants in the entire country. Before the Industrial Revolution and before the Civil War even, there was Delmonicos. And Delmonicos was founded in 1837. It's been operating for over 187 years, and the Buttolph collection has dozens of menus from it over the decades. They also claim to be the first fine dining restaurant in all of America, as well as the first restaurant to serve women dining alone without men. It's the little things. If the name sounds familiar to you, it's probably because there's such an established steakhouse that there's actually a cut of beef that's named after them. They're a New York institution that turned into a hospitality empire that rose and fell. And they've had multiple changes of ownership over their lifetime, as well as some drama in court during COVID about the use of the restaurant's name. And I picked this menu specifically because I thought it was just interesting. It's also very small, but it's celebrating the 100-year anniversary of Evacuation Day, which I'd also not heard of. It used to be as big as the 4th of July is now for us, but it marks the day when the British Army departed New York City at the end of the Revolutionary War, but we don't celebrate it anymore. It's really amazing that we're able to access all of these digitized menus from anywhere in the world. I just wish there was a way I could taste the food at some of these restaurants. So I might have gone all the way to Delmonicos, and we're gonna go try a steak. This restaurant is wild. I feel so out of place. There's kids dining here in full suits. Our reservation was pretty early, so it was mostly us and a bunch of old people. The wine list is over 100 pages long, and we must have been staring at it for way too long because they then offered to bring over a sommelier. I ordered the signature ribeye, and honestly, it was a pretty good steal for only 79 cents. Oh wait, that's dollars. I was nervous to record, and there was a lot of dads in suits already staring at us disapprovingly. So we tried to blend in and asked ourselves, what would the rich dads do? This steak is absolutely huge. I also ordered black garlic butter for my steak, and I didn't realize it'd be in a cylindrical tower. Why am I here again? So I'm really glad we could go to Delmonicos, and I'm not even gonna lie, the food was actually really good. And it was really fun to research and write this video and know that all of it was for free and all of it was through the public library. So I'm really glad that I found it, and it's something that anybody can do. And so I hope that you guys take the time to also go to the library and find really cool stuff like that, and we'll see what happens next. Don't forget to like and subscribe. That's all I need. Thank you, Tim. Thank you.
Wait, I only get to see one of these?
Do you want to see the rest of them?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to see it.